Today on Diplomatic Insights, Ukrainian Embassy in Nigeria launches charity fundraising for the development of life-saving robots and premieres war film Bucha. Nigeria and EU reaffirm commitment to strengthen diplomatic and parliamentary ties. Federal government pushes for economic diplomacy as ECOWAS conducts Trade Liberation Scheme sensitization workshop in Enugu. Nigeria and South Africa deepen bilateral ties. Hello and welcome to Diplomatic Insight. I am Oyebola Ajiboye. Welcome back. Ukraine is embracing robotic technology as a mainstay of survival in the Russia-Ukraine war. The Embassy of Ukraine in Nigeria has called for voluntary financial donations from the international community, friends of Ukraine, and true lovers of peace for the development of a special robotic project known as Allies of Steel that would be deployed to evacuate wounded soldiers from the front lines. The Ukrainian ambassador to Nigeria, Ivan Kolosteko, who made the appeal in Abuja at a charity fundraising event, and the historic screening of Bucha for the first time in West Africa, a movie that captures the harrowing realities of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, said the charity fundraising is aimed at galvanizing funds to deploy life-saving robots to front lines to not only evacuate wounded soldiers, but be used also to deliver foods, ammunition, as well as clear mines in dangerous combat zones.
Right to the right is not only our remembrance, it is all also about catch. During this event, we are organizing the charity fundraising for a special protein Allies of Steel. These are dropped robots designed to evacuate wounded soldiers for evacuate river food and ammunition and clear lines.
Also speaking at the event, the newly appointed Honorary Consul of Ukraine in Lagos, Mr. Fadi Issa, reaffirmed Ukrainians' courage, resilience and unwavering determination in the face of great adversity to defend their freedom, their identity and their democratic values.
Today, we rather not only express our solidarity with the people of Ukraine, but also reaffirm our shared commitment to peace, justice, and the sovereignty of Asia. Ukraine's story is one of the courage, resilience, and unwavering determination. In the face of great adversity, its people had stood firm in defense of their freedom, their identity, their democratic values. Their struggle served as a powerful reminder to the world that liberty must never be taken for granted. As a Nigerian and as a member of the international community, it's our duty to continue supporting efforts that uphold human rights, safeguard sovereignty, and restore peace and stability in Ukraine and beyond. May the courage of the Ukrainian people inspire us all to work together with wisdom, compassion, and unity toward a future built of mutual respect and lasting peace. God bless Ukraine. God bless Nigeria.
Nigeria moves to strengthen decades of long-standing ties with the European Union, receiving a high-powered delegate consisting of the chairman of the Committee of Foreign Affairs European Union Parliament, Mr. David McAllister, and 6 members of the committee from 5 different countries. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tuga, declared that the EU is Nigeria's largest trading partner, with trade volumes exceeding 31.8 billion euros. Ambassador Tuga announced that Nigeria has formally joined the European Union Bank for Reconstruction and Development, EBRD.
The relationship between Nigeria and the European Union, or I should also say the relationship between ECOWAS and the EU, is one that is very important to security, to our economy, to development as a whole. And it is for this reason that Nigeria became the 77th shareholder of the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development quite recently. There are several areas of collaboration, and as you know, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu emphasizes food security as his #1 priority, because we are a nation of 230 million people. We are expected to become 400 million by the year 2050, so in 25 years' time. So we are in a race against time to create as many jobs as possible, to feed that population, ensure that population is healthy. And not only that, as a leader in our region and on the continent, we also have the burden of responsibility to ensure the integration of markets in the region, on the African continent, and for Africa as a whole to develop. And we have a lot of lessons to learn from the European Union, that incidentally also is still talking about how to integrate more. So it gives us hope, and it is clearly a model that we seek to emulate. And we are rest assured here to do whatever is necessary to strengthen those ties, the existing ties, and to continue to work and collaborate with the European Union.
In its response, David McAllister reaffirmed that Nigeria's leadership role in West Africa and our standing as the most populous nation on the African continent positions her as a strategic political and economic partner for the European Union.
Nigeria is, for us, a strategic partner. As you know, the European Union and Nigeria maintain a long-standing partnership built on political dialogue, shared values, and regional cooperation. And not only is your country considered a strategic partner for the EU, but because you are Africa's most populous nation, you are also a major regional political and economic power in West Africa. So when we go abroad for a few times a year, we really want to understand better. That's why we want to listen carefully. And on behalf of my colleagues and also the ambassador who's with us, not only would we thank you for taking your time and your entire team, but also to hear more from you, especially what expectations Nigeria has, for instance, when it comes to the upcoming EU-African Union Summit end of November in Angola, how you see the latest developments in Western Africa, in which direction you, as the by far largest country in ECOWAS, see the further development of ECOWAS. And of course, we are very keen to hear also from you how you, as an immediate neighbor, see the ongoing developments in the Sahel region, especially Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. So I'll keep it there. So we're really here to listen, Your Excellency, and once again, understand also this visit as a will that, or a show of will that we in the European Parliament know that Nigeria is such an important player, in Africa, and that we are very interested in further deepening the close cooperation we already have.
On behalf of the members of his delegation, David McAllister expressed gratitude to the Nigerian government for the hospitality received.
Great honor for us to be received by the Honourable Minister, and His Excellency took more than 1.5 hours of his precious time to really go into detail with many questions we had as regards the further development of the African Union, the further development of ECOWAS, the developments in all neighbouring countries of Nigeria, but also what take Nigeria has as the most populous country in the African continent on the further development at a global level. And we were also delighted, not only that we were allowed to ask questions, but the Minister was also very interested in finding out how the further developments of the European Union will look like, because just like Nigeria, just like ECOWAS, we in the European Union, of course, are also facing enormous challenges. I would say, to sum up in one sentence, Nigeria matters. Nigeria matters for us at the European Union, and we in the European Parliament are very keen to take the relationship with Nigeria to the next level, and this will be our message when we come back home to Brussels.
In a bid to deepen regional integration, expand cross-border trade, and empower small and medium enterprises, SMEs, ECOWAS organized a sensitization workshop on ECOWAS Trade Liberation Scheme at the International Conference Center, Enugu. Speaking at the sensitization workshop, the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Bianca Odumeku Ojukwu, emphasized that ECOWAS Trade Liberation Scheme is not just a technical instrument, but also a strategic pillar of West Africa's integration agenda. And as the oldest operational trade policy of ECOWAS, it underpins the free movement of goods and services, complements the protocol on free movement of persons, and anticipates the broader framework of the African Continental Free Trade Area. Ojukwu declared that the Southeast, with its centuries-old tradition of commerce and enterprise, is uniquely positioned to benefit from the workshop, and that tapping into ETLS, the SMEs can transform local brilliance into regional competitiveness and in turn national strength. The ambassador mentioned that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, working with ECOWAS and relevant national agencies, will continue to prioritize economic diplomacy and trade facilitation, because the prosperity of the people is the ultimate measure of foreign policy. She concluded that regional integration is about people, jobs, markets, and opportunities, as well as about transforming promises into tangible benefits for every Nigerian entrepreneur. Let's see on diplomatic insights. Nigeria and South Africa have an historical bond dating back to the anti-apartheid struggles. After Nigeria gained independence from the British colonial rule in 1960, Nigeria took a leading role in supporting Black liberation movement in Southern Africa, including the African National Congress ANC. Nigeria played a pivotal role in the establishment of the UN Special Committee Against Apartheid in 1963, and for decades chaired the committee which oversaw the implementation of international sanctions against victims of apartheid regime, including sports and cultural boycotts. The provision of the assistance to the victims of apartheid and the campaign to publicize apartheid's inhumanity and seek the release of political prisoners. Nigeria further championed the anti-apartheid cause at the Commonwealth, taking a lead role on economic sanctions and sports boycotts. After the 1976 Soweto uprising in South Africa, Nigerian students contributed financially towards the education of Black South Africans. The Nigerian civil servants also contributed portions of the salaries to the South African relief movement that was popularly known as Mandela tax. In addition, hundreds of South Africans studied in Nigeria, many of whom went on to occupy key positions in government, the private sector, and academia in post-apartheid South Africa. Apartheid came to an end through a series of bilateral and multi-party negotiations between 1990 and 1993. Diplomatic relations between Nigeria and South Africa were established in 1994. Nigeria and South Africa have reaffirmed their commitments to deepening their diplomatic and bilateral ties following a high-level political consultation held at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Abuja. The high-level meeting, which was co-chaired by Nigeria's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Bianca Ojukwu, and South Africa's Deputy Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Thandi Moraka, focused within the framework of the Memorandum of Understanding MOU on political consultations adopted during the 3rd session of the Nigeria-South Africa Binational Commission (BNC) in Abuja in 2021, and reinforced at the 11th session in Cape Town in December 2024.
This engagement is a reaffirmation of the long-standing and strategic partnership between our two nations, a partnership grounded in a shared history, mutual respect, and a common aspiration for peace. The strong fraternal bond and excellent relations between Nigeria and South Africa is underpinned by a combination of key factors which historically began with a shared anti-colonial and anti-apartheid struggle and have evolved into a contemporary shared ambition for African leadership and development. Despite the geographical distance, Nigeria adopted an Afrocentric foreign policy that made the dismantling of the apartheid regime in South Africa a cornerstone. As a frontline state during that era, Nigeria played a pivotal role in the international campaign providing diplomatic, financial, and moral support to liberation movements like the African National Congress, the ANC. This historical sacrifice and solidarity had at that time fostered a deep sense of brotherhood and goodwill between our two countries and our peoples. This is an atmosphere we want to recreate within our two nations through these rounds of political consultations.
The ties that bind South Africa and Nigeria are deeply rooted in a shared history of our struggle and our progressive solidarity that we have always been having with the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Long before the dawn of our democracy in 1994, Nigeria stood firmly with the people of South Africa during the darkest days of apartheid. Nigeria championed the anti-apartheid cause on global platforms that were chaired by the United Nations Special Committee Against Apartheid, and also mobilized resources for the liberation struggle of the people of South Africa that was led by the African National Congress. Many South Africans studied in Nigerian institutions, and countless lives were touched by Nigeria's unwavering commitment towards the freedom and justice of the people of South Africa. This solidarity is anchored in our collective memory and continues to inspire our partnerships here today.
During the consultations, Ambassador Ojukwu raised concerns on the recurring violence and discrimination against Nigerians in South Africa.
While we celebrate these extraordinary accomplishments with the holding of this political consultation, the government and the people of Nigeria are saddened by the continuous reports of killings and abduction of Nigerians resident in some cities in South Africa. We are worried about the increasing cases of extrajudicial killing of Nigerians in South Africa and delays in the granting of bail by local courts for murder suspects, which usually vanish afterward without trace. Furthermore, the difficulties of our two missions in Pretoria and Johannesburg, South Africa, are experiencing in following up with the South African police to obtain the results of the autopsies of deceased Nigerians is another source of major concern to us. We have been receiving reports on the challenges encountered by the Nigerian communities in South Africa in getting information on the whereabouts of abducted Nigerians, as well as the numerous court cases on the alleged ill treatment of Nigerians, several of which are yet to be concluded. I wish to express my optimism that the signing of the MOU on early warning mechanisms would assist our two friendly countries in finding an amicable and enduring resolution to our consular frictions that have so much affected our excellent bilateral relations.
I would not do justice if I don't address the burning issue in this session today, wherein you have outrightly highlighted the ill treatment of your Nigerian citizens that are in South Africa by a group called Dudula. I need to assure you, the people of Nigeria, that the position that is championed by Dudula is not a South African government position. South Africa has always been welcoming to our brothers and sisters, including the citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I want to assure you, Your Excellency, and the entire population of Nigeria, that the issues that you have raised are receiving the necessary attention back in South Africa under the leadership of our Excellency, His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa. We are going to intensify the issue of safeguarding our foreign brothers and sisters who are in South Africa through legitimate means. We are a welcoming country. We are loving and warm people, and we want to encourage our people who want to come to South Africa that let us do that through legal means.
Both parties had deliberations in the areas of justice, security, economy, infrastructure, and mining, in addition to regional and global issues.
Our partnership through the BNC continues to serve as a model of bilateral engagement on the continent. We also appreciate the cooperation extended in the areas of justice and correctional services, police affairs, and the fight against illicit drug trafficking and psychotropic substances. We must continue to accelerate the finalization and the ratification of all pending agreements, including those on mutual legal assistance, extradition, police cooperation, in order to enhance the effectiveness of our law enforcement collaboration.
We also agreed in detail that we need to expand our cooperation in the space of mining and solid minerals, including the issue of technology transfer and geoscientific data sharing, and the process of beneficiating and driving industrialization for job creation purposes.
The consultations was capped off with the signing of Memorandum of Understanding on early warning mechanism. That's all for today on Diplomatic Insight. Thank you for watching, and see you next week for another interesting episode. Stay informed.